Hey everyone, Morgan Carey here, the CEO of Real Estate Webmasters. I am here with Mr. Kevin Foreman from INRIX, and we're here in the REW studio. So Kevin, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So Kevin has come down from, is your office in Seattle, right in
Just
Seattle?
outside of Seattle, a place called Kirkland.
Okay, and you are with INRIX, and you're the Drive Time guys. Tell us about Drive Time, and specifically, we're real estate people. Why does it matter to us here in real estate technology?
Great question. So we got pulled into the real estate industry about 3 years ago when one of the brokers in Seattle, a company called Windermere, wanted to understand what typical drive times to work were rather than real-time drive times. And we brought out an API, an application programming interface that Windermere's technology team brought out. And 3 years later, it's been a great success, partly because home buyers want to understand more and more data every day. And they want to understand what typical drive time is to work as a criteria.
So what do you say typical drive time? So as opposed to I want to know how long it's going to take me right now. Can you explain the concept of
well, that's a great question and a good, clear communication issue for the industry, because a lot of people say to us, I can just go to Google Maps and look what the drive times are. And usually that's on real-time traffic conditions. And real-time might not be representative of what a typical commute would look like in the morning, because there could be a mattress on the road, or a professional sporting event going on, or a road closure, or an accident, or ducks crossing the road. There's numerous things that go on, and when you make an investment decision, you want to understand what typical drive times are. And real estate platforms like yours can expose, does the buyer have to be work at 9:30 in the morning, or 2 in the afternoon, or 8:30, and we understand all of those based on the exact commute that they would take between the candidate home and the buyer's work address. So we can take all that guesswork out of understanding what the commute looks like.
So we just had a meeting with our team, our development team, and then of course our sales and marketing team. And you talked about the concept of how in the future we're not going to talk about distance anymore. We're going to talk about time, and you feel that that's something we do even now today. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, the notion here is that we as humans are starting to measure distance differently. We used to measure distance with miles and kilometers, and now almost always it's minutes. And I'd ask your listeners to just test themselves. How far are you from home? How far are you from work? How far are you from the airport? How far are you from that sales meeting? How far are you from church on a Sunday morning even when there's no traffic? These are all being measured by minutes. And we see this as INRIX because we're the company that does that translation based on real-time traffic conditions for companies like Uber and Lyft and people building the Uber of babysitters and numerous other applications. Even travel time signs above the highway, Morgan, are switching to be from miles and kilometers to minutes. Right. And your viewers would understand this because these signs are popping up everywhere.
It's funny because people ask, we're here on Vancouver Island, and people ask me all the time, how far do you live from here? And I say, I'm 10 minutes away. So that's, right. That's how we talk now. Right. So we're on Vancouver Island, where the REW campus is. What do you think of the island? What do you think of the campus?
Well, this is my
visit, right?
Yeah, I'm a Canadian, and this is my first time to Vancouver Island. And part of what I expected was true. People fantastic. Everybody we've met from the airport on out have just been out of their way friendly, which is part of the Canadian attribute. But especially here on the island, where it's more laid back. And then we had a tour this morning of your operations here. Fantastic. The people are really committed. You're lucky, Morgan. It's nice to lead people who are inspired to solve customer problems faster than anybody else. And I can tell from talking to your development team and your sales force, they really care about the success of your broker customers. And even as a manager in our company, it's hard to change the personality of your team to make them really care about moving the needle for their customers' businesses. And you should know how lucky and blessed you are. In my several hours here with your team, they really care. Yeah. They're really committed. They don't just work here because it's a paycheck. They work here because they get to change the world. And very few people in the world get to change the world, and your staff gets to change the world.
Yeah, I think we're pretty aligned in that, you talked a lot about, your dream is to, save people time, save the carbon footprint, reduce the hassle, really make it a better experience, not just for the people who are going to use your application, but for the people they serve. And for us, our core values are innovation, customer success, and always being awesome. And we feel they all tie together. And it's that, customer success isn't just about top line. It's about, did we get them more time with their family? Right? Did we get them more time to focus on the things that they'd love to do? And did we help eliminate their tasks using innovative solutions like INRIX? And so I really...
Well, just in that front, one of the stats that I have, I might be off a little bit, but the directionality is right, that roughly in the United States there's 5 million homes sold every year. And from what I understand, it still takes 100 million showings, even in 2018, to sell 5 million homes.
100 million showings.
Yeah, and that's terrible. You know, in theory, people should look at 200 million homes on their websites in their pajamas at 2 in the morning, and then use attributes like school districts or drive time to work to eliminate all the ones that don't meet your criteria, so that when you engage with your realtor, you look at the 5 to 7 homes that you really are interested, knowing that you've done, you know, justice for your family by looking at 200 houses, without having to look physically at 100 houses. To your point, return on time. Most people measure ROI, return on investment, but we all have ROT, return on time. And if you as a broker can sell as many houses, showing them only 10 times, not 20 times per showing, that's just a win for the whole ecosystem. And that's one of the things that I'm going to be watching over the next several years is, can we as an industry lower the number of showings per house it needs to transact? Then we'll know we're doing a better job.
Well, that's the thing we can't get back as humans, right? It's you know, when we're younger, we don't think about it so much, but as we get older and closer to that IHOP discount, you know, we really start to value that time more and more, and it goes by a lot faster. So obviously something that's not just an exciting problem to solve, but a really necessary problem to solve. So we're really excited to have invited you here, obviously, to show the facilities and to get you a taste of Vancouver Island, and we have a new application coming out. And so thank you for that. Thank you for inviting us to be a partner. And we have an announcement for the new Real Estate Webmasters customers. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Morgan, you get a lot of credit. You're going to be humble on this, but we've been working with the industry, and you've done 2 things that I think will benefit your customers, which is, one, the power of sort of Groupon-like buying. Because we've made a special arrangement with Real Estate Webmaster where we can bundle the size and scale, get real economies of scale. And frankly, you're just a darn good negotiator. You know, Morgan and I have known each other for, 3 or 4 years now, and we should have done an agreement 3 years ago. And part of it was you had to sort of educate me in terms of the value that we are creating and capturing. And you can't capture more value than you create. And while I think, typical drive time to work is the most important criteria, school districts matter and neighborhoods matter, and there's a lot of other criteria that go into buying and selling homes. So I'll let you give the specific details, but as a whole, we're really trying to make sure that we can take these 100 million showings down to 80 million showings, down to 70 million showings, and shrink the time from engagement to actual closing.
And bring real value in terms of the applications that the brokers
Well,
bring.
as you know, the economy and traffic are inversely related. The worse the traffic, the better the economy. Congratulations, North America has terrible traffic. We've got a great economy. But it makes drive time to work even a more important criteria, and one that's harder to understand and more frustrating. The last thing you want to be is an agent living on a referral business with your customers driving with white knuckles for the next 7 years, mad about the traffic, channeling all that anger through you as a broker. Right?
I never thought about that.
Yeah, but because you're in traffic every single day.
You told me it was a good deal.
Yeah, you told me it was 30 minutes, and darn, it's 32, and there's 2 minutes of my life every day. I'm never going to recommend a realtor. You can take all that guesswork out, and really, the realtor can do a good job of saying, here's some services that you can't find on some other sites, and really be a consultant to their buying couple.
So the big announcement today here at Real Estate Webmasters is that we have integrated the INRIX Drive Time application into our brand new Discover platform, and it's going to be available for all new Real Estate Webmasters customers. And even more exciting, we are going to be able to offer this application, thanks to your partnership and support, for free for 90 days for all users of the platform. And we're making this announcement for September, and we're really excited to get folks trying the Drive Time and really having you help us educate on the value of saving your realtor's time, saving your broker's time, saving their customers' time, which is the most important thing. They bring those values and that value of time to their customer. And I'd really like to thank you for your partnership and allowing us to bring this very special application to the industry.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a great way for your customers to take the guesswork out of drive time. When I hear people saying they get their buying couple down to final 5 houses and they ask them to drive house A on Monday morning and house B on Tuesday morning, it drives me crazy. Because Wednesday might not be typical. There might be some kind of anomaly going on, and you don't want to use real-time traffic. And you don't need to add 3 or 4 sales cycle days to your cycle. House A might be gone by Wednesday.
Especially in today's market.
Yeah, so you can take that guesswork out. You can provide real data turned into information, because people don't want data per se. They want information as to this house is within my drive time budget, for lack of better words, or it is too far to drive. One of the other myths, though, that you'll be able to expose, that we're starting to expose in the industry, is this myth, which is the further away from the core you go, the more house you get for your money, but
everyone thinks that.
But the longer the drive time.
That's not true, right?
That's not always true.
Okay.
Because these are not radius or radii, they're actually these drive time polygons. You can actually go further from the core, get more house for your money, and have a shorter drive time in minutes, not miles, than people who are actually closer as the crow flies.
And why is that? How do I end up further away with a lot less drive time?
Sure.
I mean, it sounds obvious once you think about it.
Yeah, because you might have easy access to a major highway, and therefore, rather than my neighborhood specifically, I have several of my staff who live much further out from our office who get to work in 31 minutes versus my 37 minutes, because it takes me 20 minutes to get off what's called the Sammamish Plateau, which is the neighborhood of Seattle.
And their houses are bigger,
Yeah.
or as big for
You're
half the price.
You're hurting me too much here, because this didn't exist 20 years ago. But one of the myths are the further from the core, the more house you get for your money, but the longer the commute. You can actually have the best of both worlds, further out and a shorter drive time. And these are being revealed by these drive time polygons, which are these morphing shapes. And the same thing for sellers, which is, as a seller, you might think you have to give a discount for people to drive further, and you don't, because you're actually closer to the core in many cases if you've got good access to freeways.
Right.
No, not always. These things aren't, small, rectangle shapes. They're kind of amoeba-like. But there are many cases where there's concave areas where you can be really further in as the crow flies and yet further away in minutes. And we take that guesswork out of the whole purchase cycle.
That's really exciting. So we talked about funny measurements of time, and we've now known each other for, I think you said 7 Inmans. Is that right? You clearly have a love for the real estate industry. I'd love to hear one of your favorite moments from, say, an Inman, or from your time in the real estate industry so far.
Well, I don't know if there's a specific time, but one of the realization I'm coming to is that the charisma per capita in the real estate industry is higher than any other industry. And part of it is the real estate industry. When I was a kid growing up in Alberta, Canada, I thought 249,000 people worked for RE/MAX. Right? 249 people work for RE/MAX. Everyone else is a 1099 contractor. And therefore, there's a lot of cat shepherding in the industry. Where in other industries, the CEO says, we're going this direction, everybody goes that way. And therefore, in terms of sources of power, other industries have authoritarian power, legitimate power, and charisma. The real estate industry only has charisma. There's everyone's a 1099 contractor. And therefore, the people who are leaders are naturally charismatic.
Right.
And therefore, on a per capita basis, like the panels and sessions we go to Inman and other conferences are so much more fun than other industries we work with, because the characters are fun, they're dynamic, and
different. Yeah.
And most people are playing to win. For people in the real estate industry, you'll quickly know this. I measure people's age, not by what's on their driver's license, but young people talk about tomorrow and old people talk about yesterday.
Right.
And you can instantly talk about, like Bob Hale, just to do a shout out for Bob Hale down in Houston. He's younger than I am.
Houston Association of Realtors, yeah.
He's younger than I am. That guy's so forward leaning all the time. He never talks about yesterday. He never talks about the good old days. It's always tomorrow, tomorrow. And what that means is people in the real estate industry are playing to win.
Right.
Other industries, people play not to lose. And it's just not fun to play defense. For those
You can't win on defense.
Prevent defenses often prevent you from winning. It's just not a fun sport to play. And the best moment I've had in residential real estate is watching these technology players play to win. Because it's just fun to be part of the next generation of building stuff that's going to ever change the world, right? Long gone is the day you get trapped in the back of a Lexus and get driven around to show homes from green pieces of paper called MLS listings. Right? Those days are gone. And we'll look back in 2021, 22, and look at what we did in 2018 and say, how did we live back then? Look at how many inefficiencies there were. And we're building it today. And that's by far, to build stuff for the, from a technology geek is the best part of my job every day. Because when kids ask me what I do, I'm a technology executive that gets to build the future platforms that our kids and grandkids will use. There's nothing more gratifying. And it's very true in the real estate industry.
I couldn't agree more. All right, Kevin, thank you so much for visiting the REW campus today. We're really excited for your partnership.
Great to be
really
here.
appreciate it.
Good,
Cheers.
thank you.